and they're rotating, and this gives the impression that he's driving on the surface of the lake.
As a plane generates lift, it also produces spirals of rotating air known as wingtip vortices, and these produce drag, slowing down the plane.
Close to the surface of the water, these wingtip vortices become a lot smaller. As a result, the plane experiences a lot less drag and experiences a lot more lift than it normally does.
He has to compensate for this extra lift so that he doesn't lift the plane off the surface of the lake. To do so, he pushes forward on his stick. That pushes the nose down slightly, and now he can stay in contact with the water.
Well, it's one way to wash your wheels.
Gyroscopic chicken.
Now this is my kind of spin class.
How are they creating their thriller of a griller?
The chicken is held in place inside a mesh disc. This is surrounded by a series of rings or gimbal.
The outermost ring is very predictable because it's connected directly to the handle, so the person can control how it's turning, and it can only rotate around that single axis.
The next ring in is attached to the outer ring at 2 points top and bottom. This means as well as rotating around with the outer ring, it's free to spin on its own axis.
The inner disc containing the chicken is connected to the inner ring, creating yet another axis. This means the chicken can now rotate around 3 separate axes.
Which means this lean, mean spinning machine is finger-licking fantastic.
That's what I'm talking about. Revolutionary technology in pursuit of the ultimate goal. Perfect grilled chicken.
Burns? I'll leave that with you.
How is Mr. Burns blowing us away with his red-hot jump rope?
Cameron has made a glass skipping rope. This requires some careful control of the temperature.
This is hotter than lava inside a volcano, so Cameron has to be really careful as it whips past his face.
A useful property of glass is that it turns into a liquid in stages, unlike other solids. This means that as he heats it up, it becomes more flexible and more malleable, but doesn't get to the point where it's totally liquid.
This is in contrast to a solid with a crystal structure, like an ice cube, which goes from solid ice to liquid water with no stages in between.
Cameron needs to enjoy this whilst it lasts, because soon the skipping rope will cool down, becoming brittle and useless as a skipping rope.
What an incredible clip. Glad he didn't blow it.
Our next internet innovator is
Sam has made an incredible organ out of toys. How cool is this?
Each toy has a speaker inside that produces random chatter. They also have motors that control the mouth, the eyes, and the ears.
But Sam has hacked all of these systems. Now, that speaker also produces an organ tone. Inside each toy is 2 microcontrollers. One microcontroller is used to control the ears and the mouth.
The other microcontroller is controlling the speaker inside the toy, which makes it sing a vowel sound, sounding like it's coming out of the back of its throat, like...
Sam has 45 dials that he uses to tune each of the toys together, and those correspond to different keys on the keyboard as well. So when he hits the different notes of the song, it sounds like this really cool but really creepy choir.
with their floating crosswalk.
Why was the chicken absolutely freaked out when it tried to cross the road?
I don't know, Adam, but Gusti Productions from Iceland are bamboozling over 3 million of you online.
At last, levitating paint.
So is this raised route on the level?
Residents in a small town in Iceland have figured out a way to get drivers to take more notice of pedestrian crossings.
They've produced a 3D crosswalk. It looks like it's levitating above the road. Our brains are hardwired with various rules to help them understand when something is two-dimensional or in fact three-dimensional. The designers of this crosswalk have mimicked these rules to fool our brains.
First, they've played with perspective. The sides of the cuboids are actually stretched, so they're taller and wider.
Pedestrians could tell this from the side of the road, but to a driver it perfectly counteracts the effects of perspective, making the cuboids appear three-dimensional.
They've also used areas of light and shading, another cue picked up on by our brains.
And they've painted the shadows on the road where they would actually appear if there really was a three-dimensional box floating over the road.
It's an awesome trick that will definitely make you slow down and take notice.
With their egg-citing innovation.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. They made a chocolate one of these? Cool.
These may look like rocks, but these stunning crystal geodes are 100% edible.
I've heard of rock candy, but not candy rocks.
Game change.
But how have they made their chocolate geode?
Geodes are rocks that contain a hollow cavity filled with crystals, and they've dyed theirs purple to make it resemble a real-life amethyst geode.
They make the egg in two halves by pouring molten chocolate into molds and letting it set. Once the two halves solidify, they glue them together using more molten chocolate, creating a huge hollow egg.
To add the crystals, they drill a hole and they pour in a supersaturated sugar syrup. The syrup is supersaturated because Abby and Alex have heated water, allowing it to dissolve more sugar, and they've then cooled this down. They've also added food dyes to give the colours.
At this cooler temperature, the sugar molecules in this supersaturated solution are not too happy. They really want to come out of that solution.
So the sugar molecules leave the solution, clustering around sugar crystals that Abby and Alex have embedded into the chocolates, causing them to grow in size.
During the 6-month process, they drained and replaced the sugar solution several times to encourage the crystal building process.
And they also rotate the egg so that the crystals grow evenly around the inside surface.
Chocolate and science, a match made in heaven.
Look at that, no leaks.
Nick Uhas from California doesn't do things halfway.
What? There's two of them!
To pull this off, he's clearly very experienced.
Thanks, Zod. But how is Nick wowing our experts without making a splash?
Boom!
The sheeting is made of long molecules called polymers. These polymers are tightly coiled together like spaghetti.
As he stabs the spear into the bag, this creates a small hole. And as the spear advances into the bag, the hole widens out and the polymer molecules are pushed out of the way.
The polymer chains surround the hole and become stretched. They start to collapse back in on themselves, but the spear is in the way. So they collapse on the spear, creating a tight seal. The polymers around the hole are stretched, but the bag itself isn't stretched to the breaking point, which is why it doesn't pop like a water balloon.
So Nick's know-how means he's got this one in the bag.
Nick's chemistry knowledge is watertight.
Reigning champion of making Nick's science experiment bigger.